In this video, I'm going to teach you how to program video games without writing a single line of code. This is called vibe coding, and you don't need any kind of programming experience. Now, of course, if you are a programmer, you'll get more out of it, but I'm going to show you the full pipeline, including asset generation, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know. And so let's get started. What we're going to use is, first of all, Pixellab for the generation of art assets. Pixellab is a image generator, a pixel art generator, and tier 1 is $12 a month. That's really all you need to get started. And we're going to use Claude Code, which is an agentic coding tool. And you can get the Pro subscription for $17, or actually $20 a month, or $17 annually. And so those are what I'm going to use. And I'm also using the CLion IDE. We're going to program in C++ because the bot will be best at using C++ because the most examples of C++ code will be in its training data. So you can see here I have an open folder, or an empty folder, called Mario Demo. And what we're going to program is basically a Mario Brothers clone. I'm going to try to implement a lot of functionality from level 1. But we're going to have a totally different art pipeline. And so I'm using the IDE CLion, and we're going to run Claude Code inside that. So you can download CLion from JetBrains, and you can get a 30-day free trial, or you can go ahead and buy that. Or you can use another editor. You can use Visual Studio Code with the Claude Code IDE, Claude Code CLI tool. So if you install the Claude Code extension for JetBrains, you'll get a little button right here. I can click on that, and now we have our agentic coding tool. And the other thing you want to do with Pixellab is you want to run a command. Just look for the vibe coding section on the Pixellab website, and that command will allow you to generate art assets in Claude Code. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is initialize a JIT repo. And you don't need to understand what JIT is or how it works, but you need to use it because when you're using an agentic coding tool, it may delete files you didn't want deleted or overwrite code you didn't want overwritten. And you may want to go back to earlier versions of the code, so you're going to need JIT. So the first thing you're going to want to do once you're all set up is say initialize a JIT repo. And that's how we enter commands into the agent. We just type in English. And I'm not going to write a single line of code for this entire game. So we have JIT repository initialized successfully. And now we can see in our folder here we have a .jit folder. And that's all we need to get started. And then as we go along we can commit. And basically what JIT does is every time you commit your code, a version of it is stored in the JIT folder. And then you can always check out your old commits if you need to go back to something. So it's important that every time you make a change, you commit. And you can tell Claude Code to do that, and it'll commit every time. Now, something about Claude Code, if you're feeling adventurous, you can push Shift-Tab, and it turns on this except that it's on, so you can just let Claude Code work by itself. Otherwise, what I would normally do is just tell it to make a change, and then you can view the change and approve it or disapprove of it. So let's get started. First of all, let's generate some assets using the Pixellab Claude Code integration. So I'm going to say generate a Mario-like, let's say 128 by 128 character for use in a side-scrolling Mario game. There should be a standard character and animations for running. Okay, so we'll just say that, and it'll go ahead and start a background job and generate the assets. So it's working on that. Now it's going to send the command to Pixellab. So we can go ahead and proceed. You can choose to not ask again if you want. And so you can see that our character generation is queued in Pixellab, and we're going to get our art pretty soon here. So it's going to start an animation job. And we'll just let that finish real quick. Not sure why it's thinking here. Okay, it actually failed to make the animation, so it had to start over. And Claude Code is pretty good at figuring out what it did wrong, so it can recover from errors. So I think it is trying again here. And the next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and set up our project. We're going to get Raylib, which is a nice 2D game engine, and have it get set up by Claude Code. It looks like the character is generating. So it wants to check the status of the character and animations. So it looks like we've created the character. Now it's going to go ahead and download the character. Okay. Okay, so we can just tell it to check that in a second. But first we're going to set up the project. So we'll say download Raylib. For our project, we're running in JetBrains CLion. So make a full project with correct folders and set it up so I can compile it in CLion and make and test a basic Raylib example. So now, in addition to Claude Code, you could use different agents like on OpenRouter. You could use Codex, which uses ChatGPT 5. So the first thing it's going to do is make a folder here. You can see that it's made an assets, include lib and source folder. All of our source code is going to go in the source folder. Lib will be where Raylib is, and you can see there's a folder there. So now it's going to go ahead and set up Raylib. And like I said, we're not going to need to understand really anything. If you follow this tutorial, you can do exactly what I've done, and you'll have a working game. So it's cloning Raylib from GitHub. Now it's making basically a build file for CLion. So we can just choose to build from the command line or the IDE here. So it's writing the basic Raylib example, and we're going to just test that to make sure Raylib is working. We're going to go ahead and accept its code. You can see in the source folder there should be a main.cpp. Let me go ahead and accept again. Okay, it's building Raylib for us. You may need to install some build tools. Just ask Claude Code what to install if you need help. CLion may or may not come with some build tools, and depending on whether you're running on Windows or Linux, You may need different tools. So we're going to proceed. Now, I'm not sure why there's no source, but I guess it just didn't. Wait. Okay, here we go. Here's the source code. You don't really need to understand this. Let me close this folder, or let me just move this to the side. So I'll make this window bigger here. You can see we have the source code. Okay, so it's created a basic demo. It's created some circles and stuff. So now what we can do is, on here you can see it says this file does not belong to any project target, so we're going to click Fix. And it's going to we're going to select cmakelist.txt. And in our Mario demo folder, we have cmakelist.txt already generated for us. So we choose that, and now we can build the game. So I'm just going to hit play, and we should get a Raylib demo. Okay, so here's our little demo. They didn't really give it too many instructions, but it made something kind of cool, I think. I was stuck in the ground, but yeah, we got a nice little demo here. So arrow keys and WASD work. And this is a pretty good start, actually. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And now I'll tell it to check. Let me get Claude Code back up. Let me see, how do I get Claude Code back up? Where is it? Let me click on this. Okay, here we go. So now I'll tell it to check on the assets and put them into the game. So yeah, you don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be a programmer. You can just make games. So we're going to go ahead and tell it to proceed. And the animations, most animations are complete. Let's download the character animations. Just keep accepting its commands, and if you want to go faster, you can just go ahead and auto accept all commands with Shift Tab. Okay, so it's now integrating the sprites into the game, so we should have better visuals soon. And you can see here that it's trying to make a change to our file, and you can see the difference. All this green code will be code that will be added. If you're a programmer, you can look at that. If you're not a programmer, just accept it. And I'll show you how to commit soon so we don't lose any work. So let's just go ahead and accept that. And anytime there's an error or it doesn't do what you want, just tell Claude Code what happened. Maybe post in the error message from the IDE, and Claude Code will fix what it's done. So let's just go ahead and accept that. Now for speed of use, Claude Code isn't too bad, but it's not the fastest. There are some models in OpenRouter and different CLIs you can use. That could be a lot faster. So let's see here. Let's continue with the changes. Okay, now it's copying the assets into the build directory. Let's proceed with that. And you can see it's making some errors, but it's going to recover from them. It can't find the build directory. Maybe it's in the wrong directory. Okay, so it's rebuilding. It's trying to kill the game, but I already closed it, so it doesn't know that. But anyways, here's the demo. And yeah, apparently we're supposed to have a sprite here, but of course there is none. So we'll say the sprite is not visible. So we'll say that, and it should get on to fixing it. Passed wrong, it said. Just checking the files and making sure everything was extracted properly. So they were extracted in the wrong directory, so it's just going to go ahead and fix that. You know, let's live dangerously. Let's just push Shift Tab and let's just let it work autonomously. Depending on how far in your project you get, you may not want to do this. You may want to more carefully check what it's doing and test. Okay, so now we have a demo. Now this sprite looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty good little Mario there, and you can see that the animation is kind of weird because when I move to the right, Mario has a red shirt on. When I move to the left, he's got a white shirt on. And he kind of goes into the ground when he's walking. So we're going to go ahead and tell it to... When Mario moves right, he has a red shirt on. Just mirror the walking left animation, because it is more in line with the standing animation. Also, when Mario walks, he goes into the ground a little bit. Fix that. So we're going to let it work on that. Let me close this other game instance. And I'm going to just go ahead and close this. And so it's doing its thing. I'm just letting it run autonomously. Apparently the issue is that the animated character is only 90 pixels tall instead of the full 128. So yeah, it's going to go ahead and rebuild. And now let's test it out here. So yeah, we do have a white shirt on both walking, but we're still going into the ground a little bit when we walk. We can jump fine. So I'd say this is pretty good, but yeah, it still kind of shrinks into the ground. In fact, he seems to be shrinking further and further into the ground. This is kind of an issue. Maybe it's not that big of a problem. Okay, so let's just work with this. You know, if you're looking for a specific style, you can drill down and get exactly what you want by just continuously giving commands to Claude Code. So I'm going to tell it to now create a Goomba enemy with Pixellab and make its AI so it walks to the left just like in Mario. Also generate some blocks like in Mario, and in general just make this game more like Mario World 1-1. I'll tell it to download the map layout for Mario 1-1. Never tried anything like that before, but it might be fun. Let me just give it that order and let it cook here. So we gave it a pretty big order. It's got to go out on the internet. It's got to find the World 1-1 level from Mario. And it's got to generate some Goombas for us. I'm going to keep telling it to do this automatically. Even though Shift Tab is on some of these Pixellab commands, you have to tell it to keep doing it. So now it's creating the Mario style blocks while the Goomba generates. It's created a task. It's sending tiles. It's creating tiles for the blocks. It's using the create isometric tile. Now we're getting into quite an issue here with the CLI. This is just kind of a visual bug. It's no big deal. Now while that's running, I'm going to go onto the Pixellab website, check my characters, and we can see that I can see some of the stuff that is generated and re-download it, or just make animations and whatnot. So you can see this might be the Goomba. Let me click on that. Yeah, this is a Goomba. Not exactly a Mario Goomba. But it's good enough for this demo. You can see we have our Mario character here. And if I were to want to make more animations, I can simply click Add Animation. And I can pick from one of these templates, like walking, sliding, kicking, punching, whatever, and create animations that way. Or I can do it in Claude Code. So let's see how far it's gotten. Now I got stuck on this web search. I have to give it access for that. There is actually a way you can run Claude Code and skip dangerous permissions mode, so you don't have to approve of anything. But it's about time we commit our code just so we don't lose anything. Let me go ahead and close this game, and it looks like one of our animations has completed. Let's go back to characters, and it looks like maybe the Goomba animation's completed, I don't know. So it's currently researching the 1-1 layout. Let me go ahead and improve this. So it's actually getting the map for reference. And you can see this this Claude Code agent is extremely capable. It can do just about anything. It's not as good as a real-life programmer that has a lot of experience, but it's good enough for someone that doesn't know how to code at all. So it's downloading the Goomba. Now it's downloading some of the tiles that it generated. And as soon as we get a working demo here, I'm going to go ahead and do our first commit to our repository, our local JIT repo. And I just want to stress again, you need to use JIT because At some point, when the project gets complex enough, the AI is going to do something that you don't want, and if you don't have a backup, you're going to lose the work. So you want to make sure that you're committing constantly. And you can back up the GitHub. You can push your commits to GitHub in your own private Git repo, or you can just keep the files locally. It'll all be in that Git folder, which is right here. You can see this Git folder. It doesn't have much in it, but this is where everything will be saved. It's not really human readable, but you use Git commands to see. But like I said, you don't really need to know how Git works. You can just tell Claude what to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and improve this again. Now you can see my Claude Opus limit was reached, so it's using Sonnet 4, which is pretty much just as good. There's a limit on how much of the Opus model you can use. And if you want more usage, you might as well pick Sonnet right off the bat. You can use the /model command. So here's our demo. Obviously, it's not perfect yet, but it's replaced us with the Goomba. Kind of ridiculous, but we can step on these Goombas maybe. See if we can hit these blocks. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to tell it what to fix here. This is really interesting. This doesn't really remind me of the Mario 1-1 level, I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Okay, so we have the beginnings of a level here, I guess. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is tell it to commit the changes. So I'm going to say commit changes. And what it's going to do is it's going to use Git commands. And I guess I did forget to tell you how to install Git, but I guess you can look that up. It's not very difficult. So it says we don't have any commits yet. So it's going to go ahead and commit for us. And you can see it's made a commit message. It's explained what it's done. So we're going to go ahead and proceed there. Okay, so it was trying to commit from the wrong directory. Okay, so the commit is complete. 82 files have been committed. Okay, so it's claiming the game is fully functional. Of course it's not, but let's tell it what it needs to change. Now the demo has shot the bed. I'm not quite sure why. It's failing to open the files. Let me try one more time here. Yeah, failed to open files. So let me see if I can recover. Just gonna tell Claude what happened and see if we can fix it. When you ran the game, it worked, but if I build from C-line, it can't find the files. So this does seem to be like a difference in the way it's building the game and the way that C-line is looking for the assets. So it's going to go ahead and fix that. Okay, now it's gonna test the game. Okay, the game's back. Let me try it from C line. Okay, it's working from C line now. So now we're just gonna fix this issue with our main character. It is kind of borked. So let me just I guess it's gonna commit for us. The main character is showing the Goomba sprite. Something went wrong. Okay, we'll go ahead and say that, and hopefully it can fix it. It sees the issue. Whenever you see it say that, you know it's good because it's found out what the problem is. Now it's just going to check the directories and stuff. So, okay, we're back to a usable game. We can jump on these Goombas, but they're not on the ground. And we've got some blocks here. So yeah, first of all, let's get these Goombas on the ground. The Goombas are floating in the air and not on the ground. So it seems to know what it's doing here. It's fixing the issue. And pretty soon we will have a better version of the game. And again, if you want to look at the code, you can just look at the code here. You don't really need to understand this to work with this system. Now the Goombas look like they're closer to the ground, but they're not quite on the ground yet. The Goombas are not on the ground yet. Make sure they are at the same height as the walking Mario. Okay, so I'm just going to make a few more changes, and maybe I'll try to get the level to come out right, but I think I've pretty much demonstrated how you can work with this, and of course if you're developing a game, you can take all the time you want and just make it come out as you want. The coding agent's pretty good at making changes. You just need to carefully specify what you want, what the changes are that you want made. If you're a programmer, of course, you can look at the code and make changes yourself. If you're not a programmer, just give it orders to Claude. And let me see how this comes out. So the Goombas are still just kind of floating there. Let me try to fix that first. The Goombas are still about 10 pixels too high. So now I'm just telling it to change our pixel level. Of course, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could check for the ground. You know, there's a lot of ways you could make this work. And of course, the more programming knowledge you have, the better equipped you're going to be to get this all to work. But it does look like it programs some functionality for hitting blocks here. But now, of course, this isn't the best demo in the world. But of course, if you're making an actual game, you have all the time you need to adjust things. And by just giving Claude orders, you can just tell it what went wrong and just get it to how you want it. And then, you can do whatever you want with your game, release it on Steam or whatever. You can make professional games like this. You don't really need to be a programmer. You don't even need to be an artist, so you don't need to hire art. You can create art. So it's move the Goombas a little closer. Now, if I was going to continue with this, I'd probably move the Goombas down another 5-10 pixels. But you can see we've got a game here. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments. And if this helped you at all, please leave me a like or subscribe. And good luck with your projects. Peace out.